Hello, good evening to everyone. Welcome to LuLu Readers Festival 2020. It's going to be virtual, isn't it? I'm not in Cochin. I am sitting in my house in Mumbai, and here I am facing my audience who are not visible to me, but I guess you can see me, right? So that's great. Shall we get started? I could see a thumbs up there. That's nice. Okay, so friends, let's get started and let's begin with the stories, right? Okay, let's have a great evening listening to stories and maybe doing a small little workshop at the end. Create a puppet. Hi everybody. Hello. Hi Gollywog. Hello. Vanakkam. That's my friend Gollywog. Definitely is a Gollywog, right? And he knows to say Vanakkam to all my friends from South India and to everybody else from India. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. Usha Venkatraman here. Are you ready, Gollywog? Yes, I am. I love listening to stories from my favorite storyteller, Usha. Great. Thank you, Gollywog, for that lovely praise. Let's sit back and enjoy our story time. So I want to take you to Storyland, my friends. So in Storyland, anything is possible. You can be anyone you dream. And today, I'm going to tell you some tales of wonder, tales of adventure, and tales to give you a bit of a scare. Are you ready? When I come to the spooky story, switch off the lights. It's already getting dark. Maybe Cochin gets darker faster. Draw the curtains, dim the lights, and sit close together with your family. Hold hands, right? Okay, let's begin. Fine, the first story that I'm about to tell you dates back. It definitely wasn't your time. It wasn't my time either. It was a time when fairies lived. Long, long ago, in fairyland, there lived a rainbow fairy. Now, Rainbow Fairy had a very special job. Her job was to put the rainbow up in the sky after it had stopped raining. And after some time, she would take the rainbow back again. Now, she stored her rainbows in a special little silver box which had a clasp, and she had a special way by which she called the rainbows back. She had a whistle around her neck and she would blow on it like this. And all the rainbows would jump back into the box, and she would fasten the lock and close it again. Well, one day in the land of fairies, the sun always shone and everyone had ice creams for tea. So what are you having for tea? I just had my filter coffee. So if you won't carry your coffee, your tea, what else is your poison? Your hot chocolate? Or maybe a drink in hand for your parents? Water. I have my water. And sit back and listen to the story. So in the land of fairies, the sun always shone and everyone had ice creams for tea. One day, the Rainbow Fairy got up and she felt sick. She had the flu. Her nose was stuffy, her eyes were watering, head was heavy, and she had a headache, and she really had the flu and the cold. She didn't feel well. So what do you do when you have the flu? You just go back to sleep. That's what she did. She pulled the bedspread, covered her face, and went back to sleep. Now, next door to Rainbow Fairy lived Nosy. Just like her name Nosy, Nosy was always interested in other people's business. She wanted to know what lay across the fence, what was there behind the window, and what was there beyond the door. She was curious. So she came out of her house and she didn't see any kind of movement in Rainbow Fairy's house, which was unusual. So she went through the garden door and approached the kitchen of Rainbow Fairy. Now, in Fairyland, my friends, nobody locked their doors. All the doors were open. But before Nosy opened the door, she was polite enough to knock on the door and call out, "Rainbow, Rainbow Fairy, hello, are you home?" But there was no answer because Rainbow Fairy was fast asleep under the covers. But Nosy looked through the keyhole and she saw the kitchen table. And what did she see on the kitchen table? She saw a small little silver box. And she knew all the rainbows were stored inside. Now, Nosy, being nosy, was curious. She wanted to know, how did the rainbows look like? Were they all smooshed up like plasticine, or folded to mini size, or shrunk to mini rainbows? Nosy, after all. So she opened the door and once again called out, "Rainbow Fairy, are you home?" But she got no answer. So she tiptoed across the room and she went to the little silver box. And she opened the clasp. Oh, out jumped a rainbow. It escaped through the window up into the sky. Nosy knew she was in trouble because it hadn't been raining. So the rainbow had no business to be there up in the sky. But she didn't know how to call it back. So she said, come back, rainbow, come back. Shoo, shoo, jump back." But do you think the rainbow listened to her? No. Now Nosy quietly slunk away, went into her house, closed the door, and remained indoors. Now the Queen of the Fairies. So there is a Queen of the Fairies in the fairyland, and she lived on the hill. And she was combing her lovely long silver golden hair. And she looked out of the window and she saw the rainbow up in the sky. And she said, "How come the rainbow is up there? It hasn't been raining. What's wrong with the Rainbow Fairy?" So she decided to go across to Rainbow Fairy's house to check out. Now she reached Rainbow Fairy's house and she opened the door and walked inside and called out, "Hello, Rainbow Fairy." And by this time, Rainbow Fairy had woken up and she groaned softly from upstairs. "I'm up in my bedroom." So the Queen of Fairies walked up the stairs and reached Rainbow Fairy's bedroom. And she saw Rainbow Fairy lying on the bed. And she said, "What have you done, Rainbow? You sent the rainbows up into the sky. It hasn't been raining. What are you up to?" And Rainbow Fairy said, "I'm so sorry. I've been sleeping. I didn't do that." But she quickly took the whistle from about her neck and she blew on it. And quickly all the rainbows jumped back into that silver box. And the Rainbow Fairy, she closed the clasp and put the box away. Meanwhile, the Queen of the Fairies had been looking out of the window and she saw next door and she knew it was Nosy who had been up to mischief. So she told Rainbow Fairy to rest, drink a lot of water, and stay home. And she went down the stairs outside the kitchen door, walked across the garden next door to Nosy Fairy's house, and she opened the door and she saw Nosy sitting in a corner with her eyes downcast. Nosy knew she was in trouble and she said, I'm so sorry, Queen of Fairies. It was my mistake. I was curious. I wanted to see how the rainbows look like. And I opened the clasp. I know you have been up to mischief. I need to punish you. You did something wrong, said the Queen of Fairies. But this punishment will suit you, Nosy. Your job from now on is to fly across the world. Visit every child and look under their pillow to see if there is a tooth there. And if you find a tooth, all you have to do is leave some coins behind. So that's your job. From today, I anoint you as the Tooth Fairy. And we know the story to be true because there is a Tooth Fairy, right? So the Queen of Fairies appointed Nosy as the Tooth Fairy, and she went back to her palace up in the hills, and Nosy, or the Tooth Fairy, had a great job from that day onwards. So that was the story about the Rainbow Fairy. A story from the Rainbow Land. Did you like it? Do you want to clap? Come on. Okay. Are you having fun? Everyone out there? This is LuLu Readers Festival 2020 and it's online. And it's my first time I have gone online. I've never done that. It's a first time for me and I think it is fun. What do you say? Okay, let's get on with the next story. Do you want to have a sip of water? Do you want to walk around? Stretch your legs? Fine. Are we ready for the next story? This is a favorite story of mine. This story is about the tailor. The Tailor of Mumbai. The very famous Darzi. Meet Abbas Bhai. Hello Abbas. Abbas is a famous tailor who lives in the city of Mumbai. You know, he makes clothes for the superstars, film stars, sports stars, all the important people in Mumbai because his clothes are the finest, softest and the most durable. Remember? Fine, soft and most durable. Well, it was a few days before Eid and his wife Hamida Begum was busy in the kitchen cooking, cleaning and making sevaiya when Abdul Bhai went to her and began to sing. O meri zohar jabeen, tujhe मालूम नहीं, तू अभी तक है हंसी और मैं जवान, तुझ पे कुर्बान मेरी जान. Oh, cut it out, Abba, called out Abbas. He was the son and he said, Abba, look at your kurta and dhoti. It's so worn out. Look at, you've got holes in the cuffs and you've got holes in the seats of your dhoti. Abba, you need to make new clothes for Eid. You're a bad advertisement for your shop. And Hamida Begum also agreed and she said, yes, Abdul Mia, you need to stitch new clothes. But Abdul was adamant. He said, no, I'm waiting for the perfect piece of cloth. And pray what it is? Asked his son Abbas and his wife Hamida. He said, it will be all the colors of the rainbow. strong as iron, but light as a feather, warm as wool, and cool as cotton. Yes, that's the perfect cloth that I'm waiting for. And Hamida Begum said, "Oh, I can't do anything with you. You never listen." And Abbas and Abdul were busy stitching buttons, ironing the new clothes, and putting them in brown paper bags because Abbas had to deliver the clothes to everyone else because it was Eid the next day. And do you know what happened? The perfect bolt of cloth was delivered just the day before Eid. It had all the colors of the rainbow. Remember? Strong as iron, but light as feather, warm as wool, and cool as cotton. So Abbas Bhai looked at that bolt of cloth and he said, "Yes, this is perfect. I will stitch myself a coat." So he took out his pair of scissors and he went, come on, join with me, snip, snip, snip. And he took the sewing machine and he went, chick, 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 chick. And then he took needle and thread and he began to sew. Psst, 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 psst. And he had the perfect coat, which started from the tip of his chin right to the tips of his toes. And Abdul Miah wore it on Eid. Eid Mubarak, everybody sang. And Abdul Miah liked his coat so much, he wore it here, he wore it there, and he wore it everywhere till it was worn out, which was a couple of months. Abdul Miah took out his coat, looked at it, and he said, there is enough material for me to make myself a jacket. Yes. So he took out his scissors. Come on, join me. Snip, snip, snip. And he took out a sewing machine and he went chick, 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 chick. And then he took his needle and thread and he went psst, 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 psst. And the jacket was ready. It looked marvelous. Mashallah, said Abdul Miah, and he wore the jacket here, there, and everywhere till it was worn out. Abdul Miah took the jacket, looked at it carefully, and he said, there's enough material for me to stitch myself a vest. And that's exactly what he did. Come on, you know what to do. He took out his scissors and he went snip, snip, snip. And then took out the sewing machine and he went chick, 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 chick. And took the needle and thread and went psst, 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 psst. And the vest was ready. Oh, it looked splendid. Abdul Miah wore it here, he wore it there, he wore it everywhere till it was worn out. Abdul Miah took out the vest, looked at it, and he said, I can make myself a cap, a Mumbai Indians cap. See, he was a fan of Mumbai Indians. So he took out his scissors and he went snip, snip, snip. Took out his sewing machine and he went chick, 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 chick. And took out the needle and thread and he went psst, 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 psst. And made himself a nice Mumbai Indian cap. Something similar to this. And Abdul Miah wore it here, there, and everywhere till the cap was worn out. He took out the cap and he said, I know what I can do. I can make a button. That's exactly what I will do, said Abdul Miah. So he took out his scissors and he went snip, 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 snip. Took out the sewing machine and he went chick, 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 chick. And took out the needle and thread and he went psst, 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 psst. And the cap was ready. Abdul Miah wore it here, there. Oh, the cap is over. He had made the perfect button. And he put the button on his kurta, wore it here, there, and everywhere till it was worn out. Then Abdul Mia took out that poor, weary, worn button, looked at it, put on his glasses, and he said, I know what I can do. I have the perfect material for a story. And Abdul Mia knew that a story will never get worn out. So he took it here, there, everywhere, and he told me the story. And today I'm sharing Abdul Mia's story. He was so happy, and Hamida Begum and Abdul never fussed about his shirt or his kurta or his dhoti. And he continued to sing to Hamida Begum, "ए मेरी ज़ोहर जबीन तुझे मालूम नहीं, तू अभी तक है हंसी और मैं जवान, तुझ पे कुर्बान मेरी जान, मेरी जान." Thank you, Abdul Mia. Now you can go and rest right there. So that was the story about the tailor Abdul. Did you enjoy listening to that story? If you did, show me a thumbs up. Great. Let's clap for Abdul Mia. And let's move to my next story. But before I tell you my next story, I want to tell you where this story comes from. It comes from a neighboring kingdom, Sri Lanka, or Ceylon as it was known long time back. It's one of my favorite stories. I visited Ceylon sometime, perhaps in 2013, I don't remember, and I picked up these books in Colombo. It's a lovely bookshop and it's a lovely story. I like it and I'm going to share it with you. It's a story about the great wise man. So let me take out my puppet. Let me introduce you to Mahadanamutta, meaning the wise one. Mahadanamutta was a very wise man. He was so wise that people from near and far came to seek his counsel. If they had a problem, they thought Mahadanamutta would have the perfect solution for it. So a lot of people gathered to meet Mahadanamutta. Now, Mahadanamutta had 5 disciples. Now, let me describe them. All 5 were pretty funny to look at and also had funny names. Let's see if I remember them. The first one was called Pol Ba Munna, meaning he had a face like the split half of a coconut. Pol Ba Munna. The second disciple was as thin as a stick and he was called Kotukitaya. And the third disciple was as slim as a sewing needle and he was called Indikatupancha. And the fourth disciple's belly was round and red as a ripe areca nut and he was called what was he called? Am I forgetting? Can I just look into my book? Yes, he was called Rabadaya. And the fifth disciple had a stomach as long as an areca nut and he was called Puvak Badilla. Okay, let's go over the names again. Pol Ba Munna had the face like the split half of a coconut. Kotukitaya was as thin as a stick. Indikatupancha was as slim as a sewing needle. And Rabadaya had a stomach as round and red as an areca nut. And the fifth one was Puak Badila, whose stomach was long as an areca nut. Okay, now these were the 5 disciples of Mahadanamutta. They were the most obedient, loyal disciple that any master could find. And the disciples loved Mahadanamutta as their master because he taught them everything. And whatever they had to do was written in a book of instructions. And they did exactly that. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, the book of instructions was written on olai leaves. You know, these are the leaves of, what is that, olai plant, which is known as palm. Yes, palm leaves. So on the olai leaves, the book of instructions was written and it was bound and kept. Now all the 5 disciples would refer to this book of instructions if they had to do something. One day, Mahadanamutta, accompanied by his 5 disciples in a single file, they were taking a walk across the paddy fields. So Mahadanamutta was in the front. He was followed by Rabadaya. Puak Badila had the book of instructions on his head, and then Indikatupancha and Kotukitaya and Polba Muna followed behind. They stood on the ridge of the paddy field and looked across the mountains, the village, the river. Oh, Sri Lanka is indeed beautiful, my friends. They were admiring the view when suddenly Mahadanamutta lost his footing, slipped, and whoopsie fell into the slushy, muddy paddy field. And he lay there. His legs were flailing up in the air and his hands were up there, and he was a funny sight indeed. And do you know what the disciples said? Oh, they did. They all started to laugh. Look at our master. He's there lying willy-nilly in the mud, in the paddy field. And Mahadanamutta, who was lying flat in the mud, angrily called out, "What are you doing there? Stop standing and laughing. Do something to help me," he said. And the disciples looked at each other. What do we do? What do we do? They said. And then Puak Badila said, "Hey, let's look at the book of instructions." And he took it from above his head and rested it down on the ground. And all the disciples pored over the book of instructions. They covered right from the first page to the last page, did not miss a single page or a single phrase. Nothing was written about what to do when your master lies in a slushy, muddy field. It had everything about how to cross the river at night, how not to leave your footprints while tilling the land. Interesting. But nothing about how to help your master when he's fallen in the slushy mud. So they said, "Master, there's nothing in the book of instructions. What do we do?" And Mahadanamutta had really lost his temper. He said, "Get me that book of instructions and get me a stylus as well." Do you know what a stylus is? I think I might have one right here. Stylus, okay, I can't find it. A stylus is a sharp instrument with which you write. It's a writing tool. So he took the stylus and wrote in the book of instructions, "When your master has fallen down into the slushy paddy field, you must give your hand and lift him up." So as soon as he finished writing, the disciples said, "Yes, now we know what to do." And they all gave their hands, helped their master up. He dusted himself, cleaned himself, and Mahadanamutta thought to himself, "What wonderful disciples, students I have. They do exactly as they are told. So loyal and so obedient, right?" And the students or the disciples thought, what a great teacher we have. He teaches us when we need to be taught. So that was the day Mahadanamutta went into the paddy fields with his disciples. So that was the story. I'm going to show you the book once again. It's a folk tale from Sri Lanka, and it's a wonderful story. There are lots of stories about Mahadanamutta, the great wise one. Do you want to revise with me the names of the disciples? Let's see. Pol Ba Munna means who had the face like the split half of a coconut. Kotu Kitaya was as thin as a stick. Indikatu Pancha was as slim as a sewing needle. And Rabadaya had a stomach as round and red as an areca nut. And Puak Badila had a stomach long as an areca nut. So that was the story about Mahadanamutta, the great wise one. All the way from Sri Lanka. Did you enjoy that story? If you did, show me thumbs up and let me clap for myself. 30 minutes have passed and I have another 15 more minutes and I have another story for you. Would you like to listen to that story? If you want to have a glass of water, want to take a walk around the room, or just go look out of the window to listen to the birds call out as the sun is about to set, you can do that. I don't mind. Let me have a sip of my water. So welcome back, my friends. LuLu Readers Festival 2020. I've been to LuLu Readers Fest in Cochin about 2 or 3 years, and I've had great fun telling stories. In fact, I've had a half-a-day workshop. So that's about 3 hours. It's been such a great visit to Cochin to see all the local children and parents. And today, of course, we are going online. It's a virtual festival. Nevertheless, I'm sure you're having a good time, right? I can read some of them saying they are enjoying great and sit back and enjoy. Please do share these stories. Stories are meant to be shared. I'm going to ask you a little quiz. What is it that when you give it away, you still get to keep it? And as it moves from place to place, it changes. And without it, there is no purpose, no meaning to life. If you know what it is, and if you want to guess, do type in and send. What is it when you give it away, you still get to keep it? And as it moves from place to place, it changes. And without it, there is no purpose, no meaning, nothing to life. Okay, figure it out. And the last story is a spooky story, a scary story. Would you like to listen to that? I know everyone enjoys a spooky story. If you look at the wall behind me, I've created a small little stage with spooky mobile, with Mrs. Frog here and Mr. Owl sitting there. And can you see the other mobile as well? These are all spooky mobiles. And here I get my skeleton friend. Are you scared? You don't have to be scared. And he wants to sing you a song. Yes? Do you get scared? No. Who gets scared? I do get scared of cockroaches. Okay. Spooky, spooky, very spooky. Oh no, it's a monster. Spooky, spooky, very spooky. What's that? It's a spider. Spooky, spooky, very spooky. What's that? It's a ghost. Spooky things doing a spooky dance. Spooky, spooky, very spooky. Oh no, it's a spider. Spooky, spooky, very spooky. What's that? It's a witch. Spooky things doing a spooky dance. Spooky things doing a spooky dance. Spooky, spooky, very spooky. Okay. Now that was a spooky song. And are you ready to listen to the last story of this evening? It's about a young girl called Tilly. And this story comes all the way from England. Okay? Now, there was this young girl who was about, say, 7 to 8 years of age. Not very old either, and not very young. And Tilly had shifted to the countryside from London city with her family, and they had a house to themselves. Tilly was most excited, and she had her room up in the attic. That's what she wanted. So Tilly was excited. Her room was up in the attic, and Tilly loved to read books. Lots of books, and a lot of spooky stories as well. She loved a good scare. So Tilly was asleep one night in bed. I think it was summer. She had the windows open, the curtains were drawn, and at midnight, Tilly was woken up by a sound or a voice which said, "Tilly, I'm coming to get you." Now, Tilly loved that, shivers and chills went up her spine. She liked to get scared. The next night, she was woken up and she heard the same voice. "Tilly, I'm coming up the stairs." That it had to be great. She loved it. You see, she really was enjoying this, and she didn't tell her parents about the noises that she heard in the night. Next day at midnight, when Tilly was fast asleep, she was woken up at midnight. Creak, creak, creak. "Tilly, I'm at the top of the staircase." Now Tilly was a little scared. The next day in the morning, she ran to her mother and she said, "Mom, I can hear voices in the night. There's someone coming up the stairs." And her mother said, "Nonsense, Tilly. This is an old house and you wanted a room up in the attic." These are the sounds of the old house groaning, whispering in the night. It's nothing. Come on, you're a big girl. You're almost 9. So Tilly went back to bed. That was that. And she was fast asleep. And the next night, at midnight, she heard a voice. "Tilly, I'm outside your door." Now Tilly was really scared. She got up in the morning and she told her father, "Dad, can I sleep with you and Mom tonight? I don't want to sleep in the attic." And her father said, "Don't be silly, Tilly. It's just that wild imagination of yours. There's no noise, nothing. And we are just across the hallway. So there's nothing to be scared. Go to sleep." So that night, Tilly went to bed. And at midnight, she was woken up by a voice. Tilly, I'm in. Tilly was extremely petrified. She quickly hid her face under the covers. She tried to scream and call out, but it was a silent scream. No voice came out. And then she heard steps coming towards the bed. Tilly, I've got you! Well, what do you think happened? If you want to message me, you can. We have time. I leave it to you to complete the story. Okay, some stories are not meant to be completed by me. I want you to think about the ending. What do you think happened? That was the story of Tilly, all the way from England, and it's called a jump story. Did you get scared? Those of you who got scared, give me a thumbs up. Okay. Do you know the answer to my question which I asked before? What is it when you give it away? You still get to keep it. And as it moves from place to place, it changes. Without it, there is no purpose, no meaning to life. Do you know the answer? Well, hold on, and I will tell you if you haven't got the answer. Now we have something interesting for you. Do you all have your A4 size paper with you? It could be a white paper like this, or it could be a colored paper. Can you hold your A4 size paper? Yes? Oh, you think it was the father scaring him. Okay, that's your version. Fine. Let me hear other people's version. Okay, now hold your A4 size paper and you're going to fold it. Okay, first fold it inside. We're going to fold it 3 ways. The first fold is like this, and the second fold is like this. Did you get it? You might want to take some fairy stick and paste the edges so that it stays fastened. Right? Have you got it till now? Once again, get your A4 size paper. First, hold it lengthwise, fold it like this, and then fold it like this. So there are 2 folds. Okay? Now got it? Right. Now you might want to paste the edge with Fevicol or Fevi stick. Only the edge. Now hold your paper like this. It's a nice long one, and fold it in half. Fold it. And again, now it's folded like this, but can you see the 2 sides? Take one side and fold it inside, and the other side again fold it like this. So you must have a square. Do you have a square? I think it's a square, right? Now that is your paper folding puppet. Now put 4 fingers on the top and put your thumb at the bottom. Did you see that? 4 fingers on the top and your thumb at the bottom, and then you move it like this. Can you open the mouth? That's your puppet. Now, very simple. Take a piece of, your sketch pens or your colors or, whatever you have at home, color pencils or sketch pens, and you might want to draw a face like this, the muchad. Can you see the mustache? Yes. His nose, his eyes and cheeks. So that's my muchad. He becomes a character in my story, the Panwala. Or he could be the watchman, the night watchman, right? So you can cook up a story. Or you might want to draw something like this. A pretty woman, right? Can you see that lovely nose of hers? Her lovely eyes and her cheeks. And there she goes, a pretty woman. Now she could be a character in your story. Or you could make another character like this. A happy face, right? You can create whoever you want. Now you can create Mahadana Puagbadila, Rabadaya, Indicatu Pancha, and the Tooth Fairy, Rainbow Fairy, and the Queen of Fairies, right? You can do whatever you want. All that you need to do after the session is over is sit down, get help from your parents, and you can dress it up. And you can also do this. Once you've made your paper bag puppet, you know what you can do? You can take a piece of cloth and wrap it round its head. And take a safety pin or a gem clip for a nose. You might like to use a colored A4 size paper. And if you have googly eyes, you can do that. Yes? Right? So, have fun creating a paper fold puppet. Right? It's an easy thing, quick to make, and on the spot, you can create a character. And you can get some story prompts from your parents or your older sisters or friends, and a group of you can join online and create a story and post it on LuLu Mall's website. What do you think? It's a great idea? Yes? Great. So I think I have almost finished my time, but before I go, I would like to bid you goodbye. This is another favorite song of mine. So join with me. It's a rap song and a story. Okay, these are my finger puppets. Can you see? That's Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and then you have Goldilocks here. And then you have, that's the baby bear, and that's Goldilocks. So you know which story this is, right? It's a rap story, and these puppets also have amazing footwear. Let me just take out one. You can go, let me get the footwear of Goldilocks. See? That's how you put your fingers through, and you can put the shoe here and the other shoe on the other finger. Now, I used the wrong shoes. Okay, here we go. So that's Goldilocks, and that's her shoe. Okay, shall we get started with this rap story? And I'm going to finish with this rap song. So you might want to join me by clapping your hands gently or tapping it on your knee. Once upon a time, in a nursery rhyme, there were 3 bears. The papa, the mama, and the wee bear. They went walking and talking in the woods. Along came a little girl with long and flowing golden hair. Her name was Goldilocks. I'm going to let my hair open. Ooh, ah, She went knocking on the bear's house, right? She went knocking, but no one was there. She didn't care. Home from the woods came the three bears. Someone's been eating my porridge, said the papa bear, said the papa bear. Home from the woods came the three bears. Someone's been eating my porridge, said the mama bear, said the mama bear. Hey, mama bee bear, said the little wee bear. Someone's broken my chair. Whee! Then Goldilocks woke up and broke up the party, and she was out of there. She was out of there. Bye, 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 said the papa bear, said the papa bear. Bye, 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 said the mama bear, said the mama bear. Hey, mama bee bear, said the little wee bear. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, everybody. Bye, bye. Have a great evening. I know we are all under lockdown, but there's so much fun, right? Let's thank LuLu Readers Festival for organizing this festival online. I've really had a great time. Let me ask Gollywog. Remember Gollywog, my friend? Hey Gollywog, how was the story session? Oh, it was awesome. ரொம்ப நன்னா இருந்தது. Really? It was? Yes, I enjoyed it. Did you? Did you, friends? Did you have a great time? I had a great time, Gollywog. I had so much fun telling stories and singing songs. Bye for now. Thank you. Have a great evening. Shubhratri, and see you soon next year. Okay, now I got to finish this.